Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, mid morning, mid afternoon. There's another time zone. I haven't heard about it yet. Welcome back to Passion World Talk Radio Network. Educate, enlighten, entertain. Quick note, there's a sign up button to donate on passionateworldtalkradio.com. You got three ways besides checks and credit card. Just look it up. Look for the donation button. You can't miss it. And we ask for at least $5 because you have to cover the handling fees with PayPal. I know you don't think so, but 3% plus 30 cents is a big chunk. So make it a point to try to support either State of Current Affairs with Lillian Cauldwell and Viki Esther Chang from Singapore. And also, she owns and operates the GDM Metropolis Education Publication Production. Check her out. And then sign up to get your memoirs written. And contact us at pwrnetworkllc@gmail.com. And today we're talking about the mouth. Used to be the mouth of Sauron, but now it's the mouth of Putin, who says, damn Yankees, they gave permission to the Ukraine military to fire their missiles at our cities. How dare they? Only we're allowed to destroy cities in the Ukraine. They're not allowed to retaliate and defend themselves. So without further ado, I'm going to let Viki Chang tell you how they view it from Singapore. Good morning, Viki.
Hi, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. It is 9:55 p.m. here on a Tuesday morning. It is the 19th of November, and I understand these years that in the digital universe, time, space, and geography is no more relevant. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in, listeners and viewers who are following us or who just happen to stumble upon our show in any of the platforms. Just hold on. We are Viki Esther Chang from Singapore and Lillian Cauldwell from Pennsylvania, USA. This is the show State of Current Affairs. We bring to you the latest, most current affairs and news to you so that you don't have to scroll. And then you also hear my opinion from this part of the world and also Lillian from the other part of the world. And of course, listeners and viewers can tune in and can listening in or can write in to tell us your opinion or join us in our program. A couple of things very quickly, Lillian, state of current affairs. Every week I try to look for good news, and I'm always straining my neck out looking for good news for all of us. But you know what? I learned at a young age that no news is good news. And I learned at a young age that my mom says, you got to keep up with current affairs. You got to keep up with what's happening around you in your community, in the country, and in the world. So, you know what? Yesterday, when I saw the news okay, just even before we talk about our opinion, the article today I'm pulling out is from express.co.uk. Okay, express.co.uk is actually a UK news outlet. World War III fears explode as Putin says nukes can be used if Ukraine fires US missiles. And that was actually like 20 hours ago. He says that we have the right to use the nuclear missile by Mr. Putin after Mr. Biden, the president, your current president, gives the green light to Ukraine to use long-range missiles from the US. So that was what Putin says. And hey, you know what? 2 hours ago, I think it was just 2 hours ago, Ukraine actually fired American long-range missiles into the heart of Russia. So you know what? I think people are feeling jittery right now, Lillian, because it says that America wants to start World War III.
Oh, no. The Russians and North Korea. Oh, North Korea is another joke.
Yeah.
North Korea sends
So
soldiers. So,
that's the same, but of course we want to stop the war. And I think what we want to reflect, I want to reflect my own personal view is that we should really stop having men, young men, old men, middle-aged men die in the front line in 2024. It has been over 1,000 days already for the war. So I think it's time to kind of really pause, reevaluate. No matter how it started, I think we all are straining our necks to wait for it to pause or stop somehow. So you know what? We want the world to revert back to the times when supply chain is not disrupted due to Ukraine, US, due to all these zones that the ships cannot move, and due to all these grains and all the supply of food that can't come out from Ukraine and the rest of that part of the world. So this is something that I don't want to be talking about, but hey, you know what? I just had to look at it and announce to the world that if it affects you, it affects me right now. The world is tied up, and I think we as Main Street people, we want to lead a normal life. We want to have dreams that we still want to work on. We don't want to be sending people into the front lines, and we don't want any country to be sending our husbands, our brothers into a mode of preparation for war, any part of the world. So without going into too deeply into the commentary, this is just what I want to reflect what's happened in the last 2 hours, because Putin has just signed another document to lower the threshold for the use of nuclear weapon. So I think we are jittery right now because you know what? I just want my life because I still want to have a business to build. Lillian, we are the small people. Whatever happens up there, the rest of us suffer. And this is what Shakespeare says. It's the massive wheel. The massive wheel in Hamlet, it says that whatever happens at the top of the authority, the rest of the world of the plebeians suffers. Plebeians means peasants. We are the peasants of the world suffer. So that's the first article. And quickly, I would like to go on to the second article because we don't have a lot of time. I've chosen so many good articles, but you know what? Today, when I wake up, another sad news that democracy is dead or democracy is under threat because in Hong Kong, 74 activists, political activists, are pro-democracy activists are imprisoned in the landmark security trial, and they've sentenced them to the longest trial for such nature into the prison, into jail, behind the bars, and 47 of them. And just a little bit of background for the international listeners and viewers. Hong Kong, for the last 5 years, has got this movement called the Umbrella Movement. So before pandemic, the young people came out from the ages between 10 years old to university undergrads, okay, from 10 to about 17 or 19. They came out in droves, even including elementary schools, because the parents allow them to go to protest against what? Against the Chinese government using huge forces or wanting to change the laws in Hong Kong so as they would like to clamp down on any democratic movement or letting the people have any say or any votes, any political rights of the people, and clamping down free speech. So then the young people came out. We started off with people young people from the university, or the undergrads who started off in the university, they came out in droves with their umbrellas protesting the ironclad rule of China because it has taken back the country. And then it kind of spread throughout over the couple of years. There are waves and waves of protests in the streets by young people less than 20 years old. And there are factions, of course. I mean, it's just within the families. There are people like the dads who says that, yes, this is for democracy. It affects our children. Let them go and fight for the future, fight for their rights. Let them go and fight for democracy because that's their life. And the moms would say, no, just keep quiet. Why are you disrupting the country? The country should just go on. When you have a democratic movement, it paralyzes the whole country, and it went on for months and months and months. The restaurants collapsed, the streets were closed, and the police were coming out, and they were using the rubber bullets, and they were using the gas, so the tear gas amongst the children. Of course, there are sporadic people who suffered, who gave their lives in this pro-democracy movement. That was before the pandemic, if everybody recalled. So during the pandemic, because there was the COVID-19, it kind of simmered down. And the Chinese came in, the Chinese central government or communist government came in to set the laws about arresting people who come out for protest. They set the laws. So you're talking about a country. You're talking about a country at the front line of being a communist or a free country. So we're witnessing right now Hong Kong, the fate of Hong Kong, the fate of young people, the fate of the people. They're fighting for their lives, fighting for the future of the country, whether they get freedom or whether they get freedom as in they get a freedom of democracy, or they get under the ironclad rule of the central government or the communist country. And you know what happens where you're in China, because all rights will be taken from you, and you can just disappear overnight if you said something that is not pleasing to the authorities, and you can just disappear, and you don't know where you go. There are people who went behind bars for months and months and months, and then they are released out, and then they shut their mouth because these people spoke against the Chinese government. So here, I don't want to go into the politics, but I'm just going in to give a snapshot of the background. If you're looking at the news today, 47 young people range of different age range, from young to mid-age, the older age, they are all sentenced behind bars because they came out strongly against the communist government and the ironclad laws that set in place that stops their free speech, stops their right, and of course stops their voting. And the central government of China has the right to install the leader in Hong Kong, which is of course not a democracy. So, we get a lot of education in this part of the world because we do not know what democracy is. We're just born into a country, talking about Indo-Pacific, whereby governments are militaristic, right? They're usually from the military background. And if you're coming from Europe, it's usually, you're talking about a very, very, what's the word? Not autocratic, but you're talking about the monarchy rules in Europe, whereby, of course, you've got the kings and queens that take over the country, and they take over and deeming themselves the rulers of the people. The only the largest democracy we find right now is India and the US. Right? They are somehow the models that people are looking at to get themselves educated. The one man, one vote model. So today, as you wake up, democracy is dead, because a country that fights for democracy at the junction of being a free country and being ruled under communism, the people are all sent behind bars. So that's another sad story that I'd like to share. Sadly, we wake up to really, really sad news. I actually wanted to share with you another news. We talked about water yesterday, contamination of groundwater, rivers, etc. And just to recap, we talked about landfills, we talked about fertilizers, and we talked about um, trash that cannot be incinerated. That we talked a lot about water. You can't live 2 days without water. And today, if your water in your tap is actually contaminated, you buy bottled water, right? And the news just came from the US. They are recalling 150,000 bottles of water due to bacterial contamination. What do you drink?
Well, they drink what we used to drink down in the Middle Ages: wine, beer, milk.
Yeah. So this article from Real Simple, go to the website.
But a
Real
lot of this
Simple.
water is not from the US. A lot of it's imported in.
Yeah, they import it. So this is what I'm trying to say. When you get bottled water, it doesn't mean you're safe, because who certifies that they are spring water or mineral water? You don't know. They just got it from the rivers, without treating them. So
yeah, and people should know that the animals go into those rivers and streams just the way everybody else does.
Yep.
Something to think about.
So realsimple.com, you can find the article there. It says that over 150,000 bottles of water recalled due to bacterial contamination. The FDA issued a Class 3 recall for over 150,000 bottles of water bottled by Berkeley Club Beverages out of the Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. The products tested positive for coliforms, which are bacteria present in digestive tracts of animals, including humans, and are found in their waste. Exactly what you just said, etc., etc., etc. Now, this is just an emblematic. The news that came out from the US, because the US tested it. What about the other countries? What about the other countries that don't even test them? What about the other countries that companies just bottle it off from the taps and the rivers, and they sell it unscrupulously in the shelves? And you, as an unknown, uninformed consumer, you just buy them off the shelves. So I'm just going to say nothing is safe for us anymore. Again, I would say that nothing is safe, but if we don't get ourselves educated and get our voices heard one day, that make our voices and our forces strong enough to force companies to be responsible, to force regulators to be more responsible. We are always at that end, and I would say that we are looking at the world that is highly, highly contaminated, and we are not going back. I mean, yeah, it sounds like it's a political speech. We're not going back because we can't go back anymore. Whatever things has been contaminated and released out into the wild, it goes either the air, water, and liquid in your rivers, or solid in the land. So that's a sad news. Another sad news, I hate to say this, but a reminder, a helpful reminder to all of us. A British news website, Surrey Live website. The website is www-getsurrey, SURREY-CO. It says, and the news came out, yes, on the 19th of November, as fresh as you can get, the state of current affairs. Nothing new to me, of course, but I think a lot of us need the reminders. Shocking amount of sugar in common children's snacks exposed as worst combination revealed. New research has found that a typical combination of snacks consumed over the course of a day could push children's sugar intake to more than triple the recommended daily limit. And it goes to say that shocking new data has exposed the high sugar content in popular sweet snacks often consumed by children. The research conducted by Action on Sugar, based at Queen Mary University of London, analyzed individually packed and portioned sweet snacks readily available in supermarkets. It discovered that a typical combination such as a cake, a chocolate bar, and two big biscuits eaten throughout the day contains 1,326 calories, 92.5 grams of sugar. Let's listen to it again. A cake, which means as a slice of cake, a chocolate bar, two pieces of biscuits eaten throughout the day can contain 1,326 calories, and that's excluding your meals and your sweet drinks, and 92.5 grams of sugar. And this is triple the recommended daily sugar limit for children aged 11 and over, and that includes you and I, because we are children above the age of 11. So, and it says that children aged 11 and older should consume no more than 30 grams of free sugars per day, etc., etc. And the data continues. So this is just an example about we monitor children's intake, but I think, again, if we extrapolate them for our consumption as adults, we really consume unconsciously throughout the day. We've got our sugar drinks, we've got our Coke, we've got our sugary juices. Juices do come in a packet form. It do comes with sugar because the sugar comes in a form of glucose, fructose, different kinds of sweeteners and sugar replacement. So that's the article that I would like to share. Two good news, however. It says that it is found that cocoa or green tea may protect against negative impact of fatty foods when stressed. A cup of minimally processed cocoa or green tea would have more health benefits for people who would normally reach for fat-rich food when stressed. So here it does go on to say that if you're eating a lot of comfort food during your stress times, you usually will reach out to fatty food, fried food, sugary stuff, because they're comfort food. And what can actually help you in blocking certain of this fatty foods or fats from these food or sugars? Number one is green tea. We know that already. So the question is, have you gotten your good cup of green tea today? And cocoa. And here it refers to cocoa and green tea without sugar or additives or other added flavorings. So again, as a reminder to all of us, myself, I take a lot of green tea. I'm just going to show you something that I can't do without. A huge pack of herbs that has 20 herbs inside this pack that includes green tea. The first pack that I put in there, I'm showing that to you because I am a self-proclaimed health advocate, but not an extremist. Okay, another pack here. So altogether, I've got two big packs, and there are like triple the normal size, right? That goes into my tea, and I say, and I remind everyone because it is something that I do. So it's not something that I'm trying to share that I don't practice myself. So again, this is another, I would say, a good news or a kind of reminder to everyone, um, to have your very bitter green tea or very bitter black tea or very bitter red tea or your kombuchas for the day. And even then, kombucha has got sugars. Um, the last article from University of Birmingham, UK, you can find that Birmingham, which is BIRMINGHAM, Birmingham.ac.uk, and this is the news from University of Birmingham, UK. Cocoa could protect you from negative effects of fatty foods during stress. Now we are living in highly stressed state everywhere in the world. It says that new research has found that flavanol-rich cocoa drink can protect the body's vasculature. That means your heart, against stress, even after eating high fat food. Now that's good news. So if you do take a lot of fats, a lot of deep fried food, I think Americans like deep fried chicken, deep fried chicken wings, etc. I think the whole world loves deep fried chicken wings. It's a universal truth. It's a universal favorite food. You can have your cup of really, really bitter cup of black coffee without sugar, of course, without additives. Or here it says your dark cocoa drink without sugar or additives. And myself, a huge advocate of tea, whether it's green tea, black tea, or red tea. So that's my few news for you. It is 10:22 p.m. here in Singapore. So that's my take on the news. Three pieces of negative news, but I think it's something to inform everyone. It's current affairs. But there is hope. If you are trying to slim down, you're trying to get to reset your health. It doesn't start just one day. It takes a long time. Just like myself, I did my abs exercise, about 10 to 15 minutes of abs exercise, just like doing your crunches, and then I did like 2 minutes of jumping jacks. Now you don't have to go to the gym, right? If you want to reset your health, anyone at any age, you could do that slowly. Start by having walks, start by having your tea. And I hope that this is good news for you. Nothing is too late, but persistence, consistency is the key to better health, to reverse certain things and to reverse certain chronic negative symptoms in your body. So, Lillian, I hope that ends on a good note for you and the listeners and the viewers. Viki from Singapore.
Absolutely. And I would like to add one or two things before we wrap it up. Does the fight between the Ukraine and Putin remind you of kids fighting in a sandbox that's not quite big enough for everyone? And instead of throwing sand, pails, and shovels, they use nuclear weapons? Well,
Yeah.
I think that the mothers of the world need to get
Yeah.
together and
Yeah.
talk to their
Yeah.
two children who haven't really learned that might does not make right. If they're really nasty, go play a game of chess. That's why they invented the game instead of having war. But they've turned it for money reasons. If they want to fight each other and throw the chess pieces at each other, I'm fine. But I don't think there's always men have the right to destroy billions of lives just because they want a piece of somebody else's kingdom. It's called imperialism, and that's all it is, imperialism. A second note for those who are interested, Gandhi won India's freedom by non-violence. Think about that. And a whole generation of Spartan women got together and prevented their warrior husbands by refusing to have sex with them. Something else to think about. And I'm asking you to think about this because we're at an impasse where war is not the answer anymore. Look how far we've gotten since Hiroshima. If you want to put it that way. You want to take a good look at what nuclear bombs can do? There are some survivors left from Hiroshima and from the other city that was bombed. Go take a good look at the victims.
Nagasaki.
Thank you. Talk to their relatives and the people who have come after and see what's happened to them. Because, folks, I don't care if you have a bunker in New Zealand. You will not be able to survive in a world where there's no sun, where there's no rain, and where you can't grow anything, whether it's water, oxygen, or the land that hasn't been contaminated. I don't care about it because I need medication to stay alive, so I'll go anyway. But you really do need to think this out. They say it takes about 1,000 years, maybe, for things to get back to normal. Tell me, how long can you last in that bunker before the parts start wearing out? And it's not like you can call up on your cell phone and get replacement pieces. I'm just saying. So thank you very much for joining us this evening and this morning at State of Current Affairs with Viki Chang from Singapore and Lillian Cauldwell from Reading, Pennsylvania, US of A. Program sponsored by GDM Metropolis Education Publication Production. I love that name. Just kind of, Peter Piper picked a peck of peppers, right? So we got that through. Want to write a memoir? Contact us at pwrnetworkllc@gmail.com. Also, the obstacles of podcast training, 2-month course, 5 days a week, 1 hour, 2 for the price of 1. https://education.passionateworldtalkradio.com/masterclass. And last but not least, myflex.ai. Go over to http://AI with Lillian.com. Sign up for a monthly investment. Save time. Remember, the new world is comprised of video and verbiage. And Ruby AI answers the call. Thank you all very much for listening. And
can I interject a little bit before we close this?
Yes.
Just to remind the listeners or the viewers who are coming in, we are about to launch a December vacation program between Lillian and myself for the international viewers and listeners. We will roll out more information a little bit later. You can learn about speaking, communications, and also podcasting. So we're gonna show you the brochures. We're gonna show you more information, the links, etc. A little bit later. But I think that's something that is going to come out. That's something that we have discussed with them. Next thing is again our book. Gold Nuggets for Entrepreneurs, Digital Strategies, Podcast for Business and You. It's relevant for everyone. It's about communications. It's about how you can use the podcast to build the business. And it's also about you owning the technology in your hands. Because it is at this time, but before the governments come in to cut us all off in this connection, go and create your own podcast to connect yourself with the rest of the world, to find your voice and to speak up for someone. And not only that, the memoirs, a couple of questions that I would like to pose to everyone. Why are we launching the memoirs It's My Life with Lillian Cauldwell and myself, Singapore? A couple of questions I would like to set people thinking about your life. A lot of people think, oh, there's nothing I would like to write about my life because I'm such a small person. There's nothing I want to leave. I just want to ask you a couple of things. If you reflect on your life, first question, what would you do if you had not been afraid? What would you do if you had not been afraid? What would you do if you could have turned back time? What would you do if certain decisions have been made or have not been made? Next question. If you've got a few chapters, and this is the chapter you're writing about your life, what will be the next chapter about? And next question, what would you be celebrating next year this time? Think about these questions, and these questions will set off thinking about your life. Because each one of us have got this finite amount of time on earth, and we mean a lot. Our lives mean a lot to us. So I don't want anyone to walk away thinking that, oh, my life is just too little. I've got nothing too much to say. In my podcast, I ask people, do you want to talk about something about your life? A lot of people will just say, no. I mean, there's nothing I want to say. Nobody wants to know me, and I've got nothing about my life. No, I'm just going to destroy that hypothesis once and for all. Now, you are important. You better think about the questions that I've said. Think about some of these questions. What would you do if you hadn't been afraid? What would you do if you hadn't made that decision? What would you do if you had made that decision? And what would you write about the next chapter of your life? And at the end of your life, what would you have celebrated? Thank you, Lillian.
Thank you very much for joining us. Remember, you can go over to https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. Scroll down to the end of the page. You'll find State of Current Affairs. Click on it. It will take you to the page. Go below the comment form or leave a comment and click on the Google link, and it'll take you right into the belly of the beast where you can see this video all over again. Thank you very much and have an awesome day.